Hey, good morning, everyone. Paul here with GammaEdge. Today is Friday, the 23rd of June. Let's get started. Pause your players here. Read to the bottom. If you agree, hit that play button. So this goes to what we were just talking about on the multi-time frame market models. So we could be in this bearish whipsaw condition. We'll just have to watch today for an intraday reversal to the upside. Obviously, we're gapping down here at the open, or anticipating a gap down here at the open. Yesterday, CT closed below the previous day. This is day 4, and what we call that railroad track pattern, continuation day down, day 3 of that thing. A few if-thens are in the morning call deck. It's been posted already. Would urge everyone to go take a look at that. Long-term market model is bullish, but it's under pressure. So we've crossed into the ribbon, and when we do that, we're in this transitional phase. So we have to be careful here because it could continue more to the downside. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. As everyone knows, we crossed at 43.81 yesterday, or closed at 43.81. PM settled complex, the transition is 43.75. And in the combo complex, it's 43.70. So very close plus trans for each of these. Minus trans is really being limited by the JPM strike, which is next week. That 43.20 limits how our algo does what it does. The 43.20 is consuming all of the negative gamma in the room. So it's very put dominated, or very negative gamma. In this case, we know there are short calls, 39,700 to be exact, was indicated there. And because of short call looking like a long put, it is really dominating that minus gex or minus trans level. It's also minus gex, as you'll see here in a second. If you forget the 43.20s, your eye can take things down actually below that. 42.75 and 42.55 are indicated. So now it looked like we were going to repair yesterday in the overall transitions. We were seeing some tightening. We started the week off the 3-day weekend fairly fat and loose. Looked like we were making progress. It looked like the market was going to get its feet under itself yesterday, and the data this morning says nope, it didn't occur. So just be aware of that. We've got indecision, and the 43.20 is just going to continue to grow in importance as we near expiry. The SPX structure minus GEX has increased up to that end of month 43.20. Be aware of that. That's big. When that takes over the combo complex, that's a big thing. That's a big deal, right? So just be aware. We don't normally see this, right? So this is just showing that it's really because there hasn't been a lot of short dated gamma in the SPX combo. It's all those puts have been pushed out in time, which goes to the comment, that we are maybe longer term biased here, or long biased here. The short term JPM is clearly indicating and taking all the air in the room for that. Plus GEX, the right goalpost, remains at 45, and it grew a significant amount from yesterday. So just be aware of that. The thing that mitigates part of this and gives us pause for all this the talk of bearishness or whatever the case is that. We are seeing removal of the short-dated puts below spot price. This is bullish, but the bearish part of this is we're seeing some removal of short-dated calls above spot price. Now, that being said, the overall balance is still tilting more to long deltas in the complex, and long deltas means puts have been closed and calls have been open. But just be aware, it's not like a new runway to the north. So we've still got some resistance overhead, and it's gonna be difficult, especially with this gap down. The bulls are definitely going to have to step up. 0DT folks who are listening right now, since we're recording this live, plus trans 43.80, minus trans 43.75, very clean. You'll see that on the next slides, excuse me. It's very decisive. You know where we are, right? So if we open below, and we're anticipating opening below this, we're going to be below the line in the sand, and we're going to have to get above it for any chance of going bullish in this marketplace. We are seeing net call dominated below us today, and net put charm also. So this will be supportive. So down to about 43.50, we feel pretty good. We could see 43.50 as an inside number, maybe a test of the 44.45 if we don't linger down there, but not anticipating a drop much below 43.50 for any duration in time. To the upside, the 4400 is the dominant delta on the upside structure, and it also is a confluence with gamma and charm. So now we've got this upper boundary right now, which is going to be dominant and does give us some suggestion that perhaps we could park right underneath it into the weekend at this 43.95. If we do lose the 4400, we could see a push towards that 4420. Watch the value command, of course, like always. Maybe this will push us up towards 4415. Which is another node that exists above that 4400 strike. Downside parking, 4355. With the gap down today and being deep in this ugly transition zone, we would not rule out parking overnight into the weekend at the 4355. It actually would be a low delta and low gamma exposure area, and just play that accordingly. Again, as I said up here, watch the SPX. The value with the value command, and you can watch 00 or 03, which will pull in the Monday. The market model, very clear to see the continuation down patterns here. We are watching to remain above the cyan line. We don't know if it's going to go up or go down. It could go either way. 4 days is 3 or 4 days on the downward path does suggest that we could go for a bounce here, but into next week with that 43.20, that is potentially a mitigating thing, and want to pay attention to that. Gamma in the SPX combo, or excuse me, the SPX settled, PM settled complex. We did see a net increase in the overall call dominated gamma. That's good. Transition is limited by this 43.20. And you can see to the downside there are some other pockets. So by the pure definition, yes, this is the transition. The algos would report this in the Discord. By the eye, you can see it might extend a little bit lower, 43.05, and this is close enough that it's probably in the uncertainty whether this strike is short or long. We don't know. To the upside, 4400, COI is indicated, and plus GEX is indicated here, and you can see pretty clearly we've got a good runway. If we can get above the 4400, we've got a good runway up to this 4435. Just in general, this did repair itself relative to yesterday, but you can also see the 4365, which is the JPM end of July, and then of course the 4320s, which is next week, end of June. And you can see those are definitely negative on the calls, and they will just continue to increase in their gamma as we go through time. 0DT, as I said, very clean, very clear definition here. 4375, 4380, that is your line in the sand. If we are indicated to open here in 4 minutes, below this area, we're going to have to work pretty hard to get back, because all of the charm flows are going to be against us, right? So you're going to basically have in the money puts that are going to be rearing their head, and you're going to have all these calls which are going to be out of the money, and they're going to be pushing us down. So charm flows will be negative and pushing against us. That will be a headwind. The only way to overcome that is through delta, and we're going to have to see calls get monetized, as Doc was saying this morning in voice, or we're going to have to see calls get opened, right? So puts being monetized, or calls getting opened. We're going to have to see a major change in delta in order to push up. And so this is where the value command is your friend today. The 1-day TE, I put the little X here because you can clearly see there's still some positive gamma that's down below this, but the algo limits us 4350. In this particular case, which is minus GEX, I would draw it down lower, and if you get a report in the Discord, it's going to limit out here at this 4350, or not even show it. It might even say, we know there's more below this, but we're not going to report it back. Plus Gex is usually much easier to identify with the eye. You can see it's the strike at which it and all of the strikes above it have a positive call-dominated gamma, and certainly 4400 for Monday is indicated. Still fat. You can see the transitions back and forth. A lot of parking spots here. You get the double structure here at this 4310, 4320. Parking in there would not be out of the question. Not expecting to go there, but it's it's within the realm of possibility. And then you got this double structure down here below 4300. Kind of mitigating for Monday. We don't normally see COI and POI drop like they do. So the dominant expiries on things are down here. This is fairly important, right? Because these are in the money calls that are here, but these are out of the money puts. So you can look at the relative balance of what's coming off on Monday. Could be constructive, probably not, but we'll just have to wait and see what Monday's data tells us. The crystal ball view into next week, pretty much as you would expect and what we've been talking about all week, right? So we've got this runway up to 4430, which is fairly delta good. You can see pretty much why we've landed where we have overnight. It could be coincidence or it could be causal. We don't know. You don't know. The 4375 line for next week, obviously very strong, and then you can see consuming all the oxygen in the room is that 4320 area. And also pay attention to these doubles, because if you're above them, they look like the same thing. The gammas will be constructive to each other, and could be supportive as they continue to fade. The combo, as I was saying earlier, we're creeping up in overall net notional gamma. We're creeping up in open interest, and you can see now 4,500 is still the indicated upside. That's shown here. 4320 is the indicated minus Gex level. Again, the X, because your eye can see there are some pretty dominant levels below us, suggestive of the 4255 level down below us as the minus Gex. That's fat and loose. I don't like it. It's a slippery slope. I like definition like we had in the 0DTE. When you see this back and forth, behaviors can get really choppy and just drifting, right? So just directionless. So just be aware of that. But to the north, you can see if we do take the 4400 line, it's a clean shot all the way up to 4500. I mean, deltas are improving relative to where we were yesterday. So there are folks who are stepping in. They're pounding the in the money puts and turning those deltas positive, and the gammas are all positive, and so it's just going to be constructive to buying if we can get above the 4400. And you could argue actually the 4370 really is where that starts. So if we do drop below that and go down to the 4350 from the combo complex perspective, getting above that 4365 zone, 4370 then sets up a path to go north. That's not in the major structure, not going to be preventative. So, last slide, we're sitting here basically 4,400, 4375, 4260 is that last line in the sand. That's where that 55 was earlier. Here's what I was talking about, the 4320 with the JPM sitting right here. Major line. You can see now how this is more of a normal structure actually, where you get closer to transition. You get a dominant level as everyone positions, and we know this is not liquid. So, we're still looking at some sort of behavior, and then it kind of tails off down here. Why this is important is that transition's getting fat and loose again. Your eye can see it. I don't know where we opened here this morning. I just saw we've got selling pressure coming in on the tick right now. But just be aware, we've got to get above this 4375 line. If we can get above that 4375, you can see what's indicated. They're all growing. So there are speculators who are building on 45, 46, and 47, and of course out here at 5,000, all long by my eye from this morning's data. So it's not, or the majority long. So it's not like people are shorting these things and we're going to go down. We're not seeing that at all. So just be aware of that, and we'll see where it goes. So with that, I'll draw this to a close, stop the recording here, and we can continue to talk.